As promised in my post yesterday, I'm going to talk to you about intuition as part of my Wisdom Wednesday weekly live today. And so what is intuition? For me, intuition really is a message that's conducted or that's transmitted through the heart. And the reason why a lot of us are shut off from our, if you like, psychic intuitive abilities is because we're stuck very much in our head energy. So I talk a lot about this, that we tend to be in resistant mode when we're overthinking things and when we get into overwhelm, when we're over analyzing. And when we work in this corporate space, that's a tendency that's a habit that's really cultivated, that we want to sort of always rationalize and think our way through situations and issues and problems. And we don't actually open ourselves up to intuitive hits. And the HeartMath Institute has done a lot of research around the ability of the heart. So I always believe that we make instinctive or instinctual decisions based on emotions rather than our thoughts. I always say that the heart is the compass and our emotional guidance system. So the HeartMath research was about conducting an experiment with 25 participants. What they did was they put little wires on them, they linked them up to a software program, and they measured their brain waves through EEG and their heart's electrical activity, ECG, and the heart rate variability through a HR measuring device. And so they, one by one, they presented on a screen to these 26 participants, a series of 45 images or pictures. Each picture would be displayed for 3 seconds. And they would either evoke a strong emotional response or induce a calm state. So after each picture, the screen would go blank for about 10 seconds. And then, this was repeated for all 45 images or pictures, 30 of which were known to be to provoke or evoke a calm response and 15 a strong emotional response. And the results were absolutely fascinating, showing that the participants responded to these images both with the brain and the heart. So it was obvious that the brain and the heart received signals, received the messages, and responded to information about the emotional quality of these pictures. And that was actually before the computer randomly selected them. So the heart and the brain were actually preempting what was going to come up on the screen. So you could say there's a little bit of intuitive insight. They were responding to a future event. So on average, these responses or preemptive responses were 4.8 seconds before the computer randomly selected a picture. But most profound was the data showed that the heart received information before the brain. So, it was then, so when first, so Roland McCratty explained that it went from the heart up to the brain, to the emotional center, the prefrontal cortex of the brain, where we then logically relate and interpret what we're intuiting, and then finally down to the gut, to where something stirs physically in our body, and that what drives us to take some sort of action. So there is a chain reaction from the heart to the head and through to the solar plexus of gut, and even lower down where the gut is, where we feel that physical response. And I've talked a lot about my heart story, about receiving some sort of download, a message, and not really fully understand it because I was so shut off to my heart and its communications, and so stuck in my head into really thinking, no, that's not really a logical thing to do. But actually, intuition is not always logical. It doesn't always make sense, because what does our sense mean? A sense is like we always try and make sense of based on our own understanding and knowledge, existing knowledge and experiences. But of course, intuition accesses something beyond that, something beyond our ken, our understanding, our knowledge. And I believe it's the heart connecting through some higher source of energy, through this connection with a quantum field or 0-point field energy. And it's like even Elizabeth Gilbert, I think, was quoted as saying, I can't remember where it was, but you know that we actually have certain messages. In Big Magic, for example, the idea to write the certain books came to her, she didn't know, out of the blue, and she didn't actually take action. She challenged herself, she sort of started then the rational thinking, and then what happened was the idea moved on to another willing host. So there's this sense that there's all these ideas, and that's how sometimes we receive literally intuitive hits or prompts to imagine something different, is through that connection to another energy source, another intelligent force, if you like. I always believe there's a higher intelligence, whether that's actually within us, that's the God within us, or whether that's through some other external source, or a connection to that through a unified field source, through somebody else's intelligence that comes through us, through this interconnected field. So who knows? We don't really know for sure. But I believe that we access a higher intelligence through accessing our intuition. And the way we do that is to listen in and tune in to our heart energy center. So in the energy alignment, we talk about three energy centers: the head, heart, and the hara. Hara being like the gut and the base area where we actually create life. And we manifest as well, but only when the energy is in coherence. What we mean is then energy centers are in alignment. And so for us to receive these prompts, these intuitive hits or downloads, what's going to happen first? So the heart can only be open to receive it when it's actually open and it's in coherent energy. So the HeartMath Institute does a lot of research about heart coherence, and this is what I call flow energy as well. So it's expansive energy, it's trusting energy, it's loving energy, and when we're more in that, we're more open to receive those messages, those signals, those communications from wherever, from somebody else, and through the connections in the universe, through some higher intelligence, or from a deeper place within our soul, our spirit, who, as I said, who really truly knows. But the intuition, I believe, is always in our best interest. It's always serving our higher self, our higher purpose, and we do, and it's all part of this self-realization. Because that is the highest need on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so intuition really heightens our ability to actually, take the right aligned intuitive action. So, and as I said, what stops it is actually sometimes when the heart is not coherent. So when is our heart not in coherence? It's usually when we're in fear or in low mood. So if we're in fear mode, we actually obstruct that. We close the gate, we close the channel to receiving these intuitive prompts. And we're stuck in, and then we go back up into our mind, we go back into the turmoil there, and we try and think our way through our issues rather than open up and let our heart understand and make try and find those intuitive connections. Albert Einstein said the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. So we have created a society that honors the servant, the rational mind, and has forgotten the gift of the intuitive mind. And he calls it a mind, but I like to call it the intuitive spirit, which resides and comes through us through the heart. It could be that it's the superconscious mind. Again, I think it's just semantics when we talk about that. We just know that there is, and the way intuition guides us is actually through our heart, through the emotional responses. So when we have a feel-good feeling, that's when we feel something, we just have a sense of it feeling right, not actually thinking it right. That's the thinking part of the mind. It's actually feeling good about doing something or saying something, and the way to ask sometimes to open ourselves up to these spiritual downloads or these intuitive prompts is actually to ask the question, because always when we ask questions, we get the answer, not always immediately, and sometimes it's just being open to receiving. And it can be when we take our focus away from it. So when you're trying to struggle for the name of somebody, and I know that, and then the more you try and force it because you're working through that muscle mind, trying to work through the memory, and the mind has only got a short-term memory, and we just lose it. And then when we let it go, when we take our focus somewhere else, that's when it comes back. And, it comes back through the subconscious, through the long-term memory. And it comes through sometimes just through this intuitive prompt. We can access so much more intelligence beyond our own confines of our own knowledge and ken, as I said, through accessing intuition. So when we connect more to our feeling nature and trust in our feelings rather than the rational mind, and the only thing that stops us is having these emotional blocks and being trapped in the mechanical physical world. So as Einstein said, we can be trapped in that rational mind. So I actually work very much with energy and clearing that space, creating this coherence in the energy center, getting that heart synchronized energy going. Because once the resistance is removed, and then we actually get more, the instincts take over, and we also receive more synchronous experiences. We go through these synchronicities, and when we're actually more in alignment with our energy, it's more, the inner instructional voice is more clear. It rings through more resoundingly, and we can then take the aligned action, whatever that may be for you in that moment, because it'll always be whatever serves you best in that any given moment. So I work one-on-one with my clients with a set of bundles of sessions. I also have a program called Empower to Rise, and that's an 8-week intensive course, and it's all about getting energy and coherence, removing from the resistance, so removing them from stagnation, from self-doubt, from fear, from not feeling good enough, from lack of confidence, moving into empowerment, into a sense of knowing, getting access to that intuition, getting the answers from the energy sway as to what is the best move for them, the right step, intuitively guiding them towards the fulfillment of their desires. And then we work with the manifestation process in that program to bring that about, to make, bring it into the physical realm, from an imaginative spiritual realm into the physical realm. And, there's certain ways of doing that work to best effect. There's lots of ways. People will talk about visualization to the cows come home, but actually, unless you do it in the right way with the right energy set, the right approach, then it won't come true for you. So if you are interested in learning more about how to work with me, whether as a one-on-one bundle of sessions or whether in the program, then just drop me a message in the comments or in the direct inbox, whichever is appropriate for you. So I really believe that we're all intuitive. It's just that we've blocked off that ability to access our intuition. And even the field by Lynn McTaggart says that we all have some sort of psychic abilities. It's just been repressed by the way we live at the moment, the way we want to steer from the head and not from the heart. And that's why women actually tend to be more intuitive, because they tend to lead more from the heart than from the head. So that is really quite telling in a way. So if you have any questions, I'd love to hear what you thought of this live. If you've got any further, as I said, if you've got any further questions, just drop them in the comments and I'll try and answer, or we can just have a discussion going on if that's something you'd like to explore further. It's been a very interesting topic and I hope you enjoyed it.